sana ngayon para sa second day ng bio vlog natin. Ayun, bio vlog. Wala na, napaghahalo ko na yung bio tsaka yung vlog eh. Kasi parehas naman silang video eh.
Yun naman eh.
Parang pangbabay na vlog na rin naman natin.
Yes.
Bio vlog. Ayun. So, kamusta kayo nung first day ng bio vlog natin?
Basta ka na ng first day.
Ano? Tinitira mo
Yan, paulit nga yung yung L. Dali na!
Makikita nila yun.
Gusto ko yung pagaling.
Makikita nila yun.
On repeat ata yun kahapon sa amin. We love you, Bian. Wow. Ayan, ikaw, kamusta ka sa shooting natin kahapon?
Grabe.
Ang dami mo ambag.
Matigas ba yung mga pag-shooting na?
Oy, madami ako ambag doon.
Ala na. Ay, ikaw, kamusta
Ikaw.
naman yung shooting mo kahapon?
Agarda versus. Ina lang.
Hanggang ngayon?
Oo.
Halata naman. Okay. So, since nag-iintay pa kami ng mga ibang kasama namin ngayon, naisip namin na mag-game. And yung game na to is Stop the Music. Tapos, may asa yung ipapasa-pasa natin.
Meron na.
Wow.
Yay! Nawala din siya.
Uy, hindi pwede mawala yun.
Hala!
Ay, nako.
Ay,
nako.
Ayan, bigla siyang nag-appear.
Wow! Wow!
Ayan, Stop the
Thank you,
Music.
kuya.
Tapos, papagpapasapasahan namin yan. Kung kanino mag-stop yung music, siya yung bubunot dito sa mahiwagang container namin. Ito yung may mga definition of terms na kailangan. May terms na kailangan. Bigyan ng definition. Tapos, kung hindi nila mabibigyan ng definition, pwede silang bumunot dito sa their container namin. Don't worry, madadali lang naman yung mga theirs.
Hindi ako naniniwala.
Ay, hindi ba? Bakit? Asan na ba yung iba? Ano ba sabi nila, Janine?
They're coming.
Nag-chat ba sila? Tsaka sila, ayan!
Ayun!
Coming na, yun na. Sounding.
Sa akin yan.
Ay, ito.
Ayan, may
ayan na.
nagtatanong.
Dito na sila!
Ayun
Hi,
naman.
guys!
Hola!
Ganap natin.
Maglalaro daw tayo.
Ayan, explain mo dali. Ayan.
Ano daw?
Ayun, dear Jenes.
Oo, yun.
Sa
Yung
group
alam
chat.
niya.
Alam niya, in fairness, ha?
Eh, yung,
One.
yung kay Sarah.
Parang inspired by Sir
Sir.
Truth or Dare mula sa ating 100-item exam. Hindi, quiz pala. Quiz lang pala yun, guys.
Para
Actually,
exam.
Exam talaga yun.
Exam
Exam
talaga.
talaga yun. Ayun, start na tayo, ha?
Ba't ako?
5, 6, 7, go.
Ba't dito muna?
Wala pa, matakas ako.
Uy, Jenny.
Kunin nyo naman agad.
Ayaw mo, Nicole!
Hindi mo mabay ko
Ayaw
po.
kasi.
Hindi mo mabay ko po.
Oh, si Janine. Si Janine.
Oo, wala sa akin ha.
Janine, di muli.
Si Janine.
Kay Bunot!
Una. Dapat sumasayaw-sayaw na gano'n.
Go ka.
Yung gumaganon-ganon.
Uno.
Unat. Matapang ang mukha ni ate mo, Janine. Ano yan?
Macy.
Pakita mo.
Noisy.
Papakita mo.
Depression.
Hindi.
Aversion.
Ayan. Ay, pakita mo. Aversion. Okay, anong meaning niyan? Aversion, ate girl?
Sunboy.
Tapos.
Ay!
There na yan.
There na yan.
There na yan.
There.
There.
Wala yun. There.
Saan
Ikaw
ba yun?
meron?
Siguro na lang
Asan na?
Ako sasagot.
Okay, may ano?
May tagasalo.
May tagasalo. Next naman. Sige, Bien.
Go, Bien.
Aversion. It is the turning out.
Oh!
Wait. Turning the sole of the foot out.
Ba't titingnan natin kung tama?
Ang galing!
Ay,
Yes.
short. Okay, ang sabi
Ay, walang
dito-
outward. Yung mas important.
Sabi ko
yung
outward.
Outward, totoo nga. outward.
Dana, nasaan ka nung sinabi ko yung outside?
Asan yun?
Ito, Eversion is turning the sole of the foot outward.
Outward.
You invert your foot to put the sole of your shoe back on the floor. Okay, next.
Okay, next para
Next.
Next.
Okay,
Sige,
next.
go, go, go.
Saan yung last? Kay Janina, no?
Yes, yes,
Okay na
yes.
yan. Okay na yung eversion. Mama,
Lilipat
dyan. Lipat yan.
Okay, go.
Ba't parang nanodo ka, Shay?
Diba? Bakit ako? May pandayan.
Bunot. Ikaw naman yung magbasa, gumagaling-galing.
Ba't may dumadating dito eh?
Ups, 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 ups.
Hello, feel ko di ko to alam.
Ano yan? Pakita mo.
Ay, easy, easy.
Carbohydrate.
Ay!
Ano ba yun?
Retraction. Okay.
Retraction?
Hmm.
Wait lang, hindi ko ata alam ng retraction.
Ay, there na yan. There na yan.
There na lang, there.
There. Ay, matapang. May first year tayo.
Ay!
Easy.
There.
Umuwi sa bahay at kumuha ng...
Uwi at matulog.
Okay.
Read it out loud. Read out loud.
Touch the tip of your nose using your tongue.
Yes!
Ano?
Touch the tip of your nose.
Kaya ko yan.
Using
Kaya ko yan.
Where?
Pag hindi
Ah,
nagawa.
Okay.
Go!
Ayan.
Upo ka muna dito. Para pagkakat. Carry mo ba? Recite the alphabet backwards. Ah!
S!
Hindi, reset mo muna normal.
Yung normal.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Z, Y, W. Now I know. Hindi, joke lang.
Oo nga.
Z, Y, W.
A,
Joke
ganun.
lang.
A, ganun.
Z, Y, W.
X, Y, Z.
X. T, S. Ah! Titi.
Titi?
Ay, isa pa. Huwag niyo kasi, huwag niyo nagulan.
Naghang. Copy.
Wag na.
Wag na. Dalawa yung minimum, dalawa yung maximum.
Dalawa na yung
Z,
maximum.
W, Z, X, Y. Z, Y, X.
B, 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 B.
Z, Y, X.
B, B. B ba?
W.
Ah.
Playing continuation.
Alex. Go, Alex. Nanginginig yung puso ko habang nang papasok. Ganun yun na agad yung
Oo,
Wala na.
naman ko.
Tapos na. Kay Alec, kay Alec.
Okay.
Stop na.
Alex.
Ayaw mo yan.
Kaya mo to. Pag hindi mo naman kaya, may dare tayo.
Okay lang. Sige, sige.
Okay lang daw yun,
Okay.
guys. Matapang.
yan.
Strong.
Munot,
Oo.
munot.
Okay.
Huwag naman yan, ate.
Pakita mo.
Oh, ang haba-haba yan
Tapos sa camera, yung mga
Ah.
viewers natin, 1
Ano
million
yan?
viewers.
Ano to? Ano yan?
Ano yan?
Ano
Basta-
yan?
Plantar flexion.
Blood
Plantar.
Flexion.
Flexion.
Plantar.
Flexion.
Blood or
Go,
flexion.
Alec.
Diba yung ano yung flexion?
Ano yan?
Ano? Sige, ano yan?
Hmm.
Hashtag.
There na lang.
Ay!
Nag-isip ka.
There na lang.
Pasok na kaya ako sa
O sige. O dahil may mga... May mga... may mga bagong dating muna tayo. Bago mag-dare si Alec. Halika na guys, pasok na kayo.
Oh, new friends!
Kaya niya.
Si ano, si Rufa.
Si Ru.
Tsaka si
Hi, friends!
Curtis.
Na-traffic lang.
Na-traffic lang eh. Emergency.
Saan ka pupunta?
Dito ka, dito ka.
Dito ka na lang, Ken.
Dito ka na lang. Yan,
Tapos,
tapos...
kinakrap eh.
Okay, there.
Tayo tayo sa kahapon. O, there.
Pwede naman pala dito.
Ay! Ay! Bata!
There.
Ay! Sa likod. Kasha. Saan kita sa likod?
O, sa puyan sa
Oo,
puyan.
diba?
Ka dyan mag-dare sa
Kasha siya.
Hala, like matatabunan kita.
Yung nga.
Diyan ka na lang sa pagitan nila.
Ayan, ayan. Akin na yung hindi mo nasagot.
Okay, nag-adjust po tayo ngayon.
Okay,
There.
Listen mo yung ano? Hanggang dito.
Isa lang.
Dito, may kasunod dito.
Ano?
Okay, babasa ng malakas.
Say out loud, I am stupid.
Ay. Bakit ano?
Pakita mo kita mo.
Ayan. Okay, go.
I am stupid.
Paulit ulit, paulit ulit.
Lakasan
Ilang
mo yung
beses?
rinig
Huwag naman yung
Ilang
malakas sa malakas, guys.
Ilang beses?
Ay.
I am stupid.
Ay, naku. Tapos si Pao na daw sunod.
Ayan na.
Okay, next!
Okay, next. Ay, wait. Bago pa lang next. Sino nakakalam ng plantar flexion?
Hindi, flexion lang.
Flexion. Sige, what is flexion?
Yung ano, yung sa bone.
Bone chuchu.
Decrease
This is the angle.
Angle. Iba na kasi yun. Ang plantar flexion kasi, yun yung depressing of your foot. Kasi, di ba, kapag naglalakad ka, you walk your feet to, your dorsiflex. You dorsiflex your feet to walk on your heels and plantar flex them to tiptoe. So, yun usually ginagawa ng mga nagbabalay na naka-tiptoe sila. Ginagamit nila yung...
Ay, sample na.
Meron ba kayo balipaw yan?
Hindi.
Hindi. Okay. Game tayo. Asan yung bilog?
Same.
Yan mo iba na. Sige! Oh, stop!
Uy, Alex, tingnan mo kayo mga!
Okay, Pao!
Shape
Pao!
out. Go, Pao, go, Pao. Hindi.
Okay,
Magaling
Pao!
naman.
Ang daya.
Sino madaya?
Kasi
Ay, naku, yung ilalim yung kunin mo. Asan yung, pakilagay yung there?
Aw, paulit ulit.
Ay, yung insertion? Ako na yung pinakamadali.
Insert.
Ano ba yung insertion na yan?
Ako na dyan.
Ano ba yan?
Ayan ko.
Okay, ano ba yung insertion na yan?
SPG po.
Ano nga?
Oh, saan ang insertion? Pag the
Ano
word
insertion?
insert. Ano insert?
Sean.
Insert
Papasok
Sean.
saan?
Ipasok si Sean.
Wala. Ay,
Let's stay rated PG, okay?
5, 4,
Rated PG lang.
5, 4. Wala.
Pinapasok daw.
Explain paano ipasok.
Ano na? Ayan na. Sinasabi niya na. Ano?
Andaya, merong andaya.
There na lang.
Ay, sige, ano mo na yung sasabihin mo dapat? According to
Depressing.
Depression your foot. Pala yung foot.
There?
Ay, naku ko na magsasabi. According to Wikipedia, it says, insertion may refer to insertion the point of a tendon or a ligament onto the skeleton or other part of the body.
Or it can mean the muscle end attached to bone with greatest movement. Ayan. Kasi kailangan natin sabihin itong mga to kasi later, gagamitin natin or maririnig nila yung mga words na to ulit para hindi naman sila clueless. Okay, at dahil hindi mo nasagot yan,
Let's go.
there. Kinakabahan.
Send ko daw na.
Ay, anong isa-send? Go.
Saan mo nakikita?
Dapat si Jenny Mar.
Ako mag-ano yan, dali-dali.
Pakita mo na doon. Ayan. Say,
Ikaw mag-ano
Say,
pitong put, pitong puting tupa.
for 5 times.
Pitong put, pitong
Ito, ganda, pitong put.
puting tupa.
Pitong
Pitong.
Ay, no,
pitong
girl, makinig ka. Pitong put, pitong puting tupa. Ganon. Ganon kabilis.
Tongue twister.
Bawal!
Bawal!
Pitong put, pitong puting tupa.
Pitong put, pitong
Saba.
Pitong put,
pitong
Pitong puting tupa.
Okay, go.
Pitong puting tupa. Pitong puting tupa.
Pitong
Puting.
tupa. Pitong puting tupa.
pula.
No.
Walang pula. Pula.
Ano sabi ko pula? Pitong puting tupa. Pitong puting tupa. Pitong puting
Last five.
Pitong
Matugo.
tupa.
Okay, okay na yan. Okay na yan. Okay.
Ay, naka-insertion.
It's freedom, it's flooded open. It's a picture in the pulpit and you find the passion. There's something breaking at the brink of everyone. Holding all that you know. So tell me, do you wanna go? Where it's carried.
Ken!
Pakita namin. Ken, may tao po dyan. Go, Ken.
Pen po kami.
And,
Ay, napakadali.
easy.
Protraction.
Yun yung kapag,
Protraction. Ano ang protraction? Okay, go.
Ito yung nangyari ako kanina.
ang kanyang dare. Say kabilugan ng buwan ng kabilugan for 7 times.
Wait lang, hanap.
Bawal ano balik mo rin agad yan.
Kabilugan ng buwan ng...
Bawal mo.
Bawal yung protraction.
Ano?
Wait, sabayin muna natin siya. Kabilugan ng buwan, buwan ng kabilugan.
Kabilugan ng buwan.
Okay, 5, 6, 7, go.
Kabilugan ng buwan, buwan ng kabilugan, buwan ng kalibugan.
Buwan ng kalibugan.
Buwan na. Saba. 1, 2, 3, go.
Buwan ng kabilugan.
Oh, from the start, from the start.
Kabilugan ng buwan, buwan ng kabilugan. Kabilugan ng buwan, buwan ng kabilugan, buwan ng kabilugan.
Mabagal.
Bumagal, medyo
Mabilis.
mabilis.
Kabilugan ng buwan, buwan ng kabilugan, buwan ng... Wait lang, pero mo anong kopya.
Kabilugan ng buwan ng kabilugan.
Yung nagbaliktad na.
Kabilugan ng buwan, buwan ng kabilugan. 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 Okay na.
7 times? Ano na yun?
Oo, sobrang.
Sobrang. Oh, wow. Ayun, guys. So, hindi kasi na-record kanina yung 1, 2, 3, 4. Yung 4 na tao na naglaro kanina and actually nakasagot talaga sila, hindi sila nag-clear. Kaya, uulitin na lang namin yung mga naging sagot nila. Una, kay Pao.
Extension. So, extension refers to the movement that increases the angle between two body parts. Ayan, so ayan extend.
Okay.
Ayan.
So, in short, parang yun, nasa-straighten yung mga na-bend. Okay. Okay, next.
Next is abduction. It is the
Okay.
moving away from the body's midline.
Kasi yung isang kasama niya is,
Abduction.
okay, which is
Moving towards
the
from the body's
body's line. Okay.
Elevation, moving a body part up.
Sakon. Akala kanina ganun eh. Ngayon ganun na. Okay.
Next is flexion.
Mhm.
Decreasing the angle between two bones.
Okay.
Flexion.
So next, start na ulit tayo.
Next, so, go.
1, 2,
3,
3,
go.
Intoxicating you.
Leah Montero.
Okay.
Akin yung dare. Charot.
There na. Wala nang ano ha. Malapit na tayo matapos. Oh, tingnan na yan.
Yeah.
Parang
Talon.
Bago muna mag-ano pala, bago mo tingnan niya. May bago tayong dating. Welcome natin siya, guys.
Uy, si Kyla! Kyla!
Ayun, pwede na pumunta dito para makasali na rin si Jay.
Sa baba pa.
Kyla, hello Kyla. Dito ka sa gitna.
Talon.
Dito ka pa.
Pwede pa 10 ano yun eh. Okay na mo.
Ayan. Kasi si
Ulit,
Alex.
sa likod ka na ulit.
Okay. Iyak.
Ay,
Yan na. Mumunang fruit. Ano yan?
adduction.
Awa!
Adoption.
Ang swerte. Napakaswerte ka lang nito.
Pwede ba naman ako?
Ulit. Ano yung adoption? Sige, go.
Yung moving toward the body's midline.
Okay.
Oh.
Kasi yung abduction and adduction, yun yung for the side-to-side movements ng isang tao. And yun yung, kunyari, example, nagda-jumping jacks ka, yun yung usually yung abduction and adduction, yung gumagana doon. Yun yung tawag doon. Okay, ulit tayo.
Watching it come true. Taking over you. Sympathy you ever want. Sympathy you ever need. And it's here right in front of you.
Yay!
Hello.
Bawal mamili bawal mamili.
Sinisipat ko pa ako ng ganun.
Ano yan? Synergists. Ano ang mga synergists?
Wait lang, nakakabasa ko lang nito eh. Ito yung specialized. Isa yung mga nag-specialize sila sa...
Sige, kaya mo yan.
Specialize siya dun sa... Sige. Yes! Hindi lang sa muscles. Or like... Oh, yun. Specialize sila sa mga muscles and yung mga connective tissues na maalala sa muscles.
Tama ba yan? Ay, hindi. Hindi. Ay! May second mo siya mali daw. Mali. Object. Ano yun? Go.
Synergies are the muscle that assist,
Okay.
ano, that
Ah.
assist
person eh.
the prime mover in the
Okay. Okay, in short, yung mga muscles na to, pag nag-work together, they could create a movement. Yun yung synergies. Ano ba, bibigyan ba ng dare si Kay?
Akin nabigyan mo ang there.
Gusto niya ng dare. Ayan, Kay pa. O yan. Okay, bigyan natin ng dare.
There. Over there.
Oh, nag-joke ulit si Alec, guys! Ilan? Ilan ang gusto?
Ilang araw, ang damay.
Okay. There go.
Makasakay na lang.
Say, ang relo ni Leroy ay Rolex for 3 times. Ang relo ni Leroy ay Rolex. Ang relo ni Leroy ay Rolex. Ang relo ni Leroy ay Rolex.
Okay, very
Mas madali pa yung day sa gano'n.
Leroy.
Magde-dare na nga lang din ako.
Ay! Nako. Ang balita pa puro dare daw ata yung vlog natin, may minus.
Ay, sabi ko sa'yo, sasagutin natin lahat.
Okay, balik tayo.
Where you wanna be.
Kasi na! Dito ikot na lang.
Sympathy you ever need. And it's here right in front of you.
Ay, nakadosa.
Pakasabi niyo.
Go, Kyla.
Ayun, sa right. Ay, hindi, wait lang. Left pala, left. Ay, wait, charot.
Kaya sa
Ano na talaga, right?
Feeling ko yun yun eh.
Ayan na yan. Nako. Patay. Sarcomere. Okay. What is a sarcomere? Yan na, lalalim na ng mga words na nabubunot niyo.
Shark.
Shark. Ano ba?
Mirror crack.
Okay, go.
Iisip ka na lang ng joke. No? Parang
Ano, yung I'm not there. Oh, sige, oh, there.
Oh my God.
Oh,
yung
yun.
mahaba. Yung
papapakita natin sa ano.
Same mechanic on Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica for 5 times.
Okay, bawal may ano, bawal may kopya. So, yan. So, 5 times.
Oh, wait lang. Mechanic on Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica.
Okay, go. 5, 6, 7, go.
Mechanic on Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica. Mechanic on Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica. Mechanic on Monica ang
Tapa.
Mechanic on Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica.
Ng makina ni Monica. Sama.
Mechanic on Monica ang makina ng makina ni
Monica.
Monica. Mechanic on Monica ang makina ng
Manika. Ni Monica.
Mekaniko ni Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica. Mekaniko ni Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica. Mekaniko ni Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica. Mekaniko ni Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica. Mekaniko ni Monica ang makina ng Monica ni Monica.
Okay. Wait lang. Sacromeres muna bago tayo mag-ano. Being a sacromeres, contractile or functional unit of a muscle.
Tapos it contains thick and thin line myofilaments.
Nice. Okay na. Ayun, so para mas madali yung game, nagbunutan kami ng mga words, tapos bibigyan na lang namin isa-isa ng definition.
Wala na ako.
Go ahead.
Origin. Muscle end attached to more stationary of two bones.
Usually, yung bone na yun is yun yung naka-stabilize na bone.
And pangalawa, myofiber. Myofiber. It is a muscle cell.
Sarcosome, the mitochondria of a muscle. And belly, the largest portion of the muscle between origin and insertion.
Pronation. Rotating the forearm so the palm facing backward.
Paano na? Facing Next, yung sa akin is sarcoplasmic reticulum. Ito yung endoplasmic reticulum ng muscle. Tapos, yung depression is yung contrast ng elevation, which is moving of a body downward.
Sarcolemma, cell membrane of muscle fiber. Inversion involves the movement of the soul towards the native plane, so that the soul faces to the native direction of the body.
Sarcoplasm. Cytoplasm of muscle cells.
Supination refers to the outward roll of the foot during normal motion.
Dorsiflexion, bring your foot upward toward your shin.
Okay, tapos yun lang yung para sa second part or second day, which is second day. Tapos, tuning for more. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye!
The frontalis muscle. Its origin is in the galea aponeuronica. Its insertion is the skin around the eyebrows and the nose. And it helps to raise our eyebrows and wrinkles. And the nerve to the muscle in its spinal segment is at the temporal branch of the facial nerve. One muscle of mastication is the temporalis muscle. Its origin is at the temporal lines, the temporal fossa, and the temporal fascia. Its insertion is at the tip and medial surface of the coronoid process of the mandible. It elevates and retracts mandible at temporomandibular joint close to the jaw. And the nerve 2 muscle and its spinal segment is the mandibular branch of the trigeminal nerve or nerve. The second muscle of mastication is the masseter muscle. Its origin is zygomatic arch. Its insertion is at the lateral surface of the angle and the ramus of the mandible, and its action is to elevate and protracts or protrudes the mandible close to the jaw. The nerve to the muscle and its spinal segment is the mandibular branch of the trigeminal nerve. Trigeminal teeth. The third muscle of mastication, the lateral pterygoid muscle. Its origin is superior head, greater wing of sphenoid bone, inferior head, lateral surface of lateral pterygoid plate. Insertion, condyle of mandible and temporomandibular joint. Action, protract or protrude mandible. Depress mandible. Individually, they move the mandible side to side. Nerve to muscle and its spinal segment. Mandibular branch of trigeminal nerve. Next. Fourth and last muscles of mastication is the medial tigeroid muscle. Origin is superficial head, tuberosity of maxilla, deep head, medial surface of lateral pterygoid plate and palatine bone. Insertion, medial surface of ramus and angle of mandible. Action, elevate mandible, protract or protrude mandible. They move the mandible side to side. Nerve to muscle and its spinal segment. Mandibular branch of trigeminal nerve. Trigeminal. Muscles.
Muscles that act on the head and neck. Rectus capitis posterior minor muscle. Origin, posterior tubercle of C1. Insertion, medial portion of inferior nuchal line of occipital bone. Actions of the rectus capitis posterior minor muscle. Connective tissue bridge to the spinal dura helps control and folding movements of the dura. Numerous spindle fibers help with the proprioception and balance. Extends the head at the neck. Obliquous capitis inferior muscle. Origin, spinous process of the axis vertebra. Transverse process of atlas vertebra. Rotates head to the same side. Obliquous capitis superior muscle. Origin, transverse process of the atlas vertebra. Insertion, between the superior and inferior nuchal lines of occipital bone. Actions, bilaterally extends the head. Unilaterally, sorry. Ulit. Ikakat ba or simulat? Simula? Unilaterally flexes head to the same side. Rectus capitis posterior major muscle. Origin, spinous process of the axis vertebra. Insertion, lateral portion of inferior nuchal lines of occipital bone. Actions, bilaterally extends the head. Unilaterally rotates head to the same side. Okay. Semispinalis capitis muscle. Origin, transverse processes of C7, T6, and articular process of C4 and C6. Insertion, between superior and inferior nuchal lines of occipital bone. Actions, bilaterally extends and hyperextends the head and the neck. Unilaterally rotates the head and the neck to the opposite side of the muscle.
Semispinalis cervicis muscle. Origin, transverse processes of T1 to T6. Insertion, spinous processes of C2 to C5. Actions of the semispinalis cervicis muscle: bilaterally extends cervical vertebrae, unilaterally flexes cervical vertebrae, unilaterally rotates cervical vertebrae to opposite side. Semispinalis thoracis muscle. Origin, transverse processes of T6 to T10. Insertion, spinous processes of T1 to T4 and C6 to C7. Actions of the semispinalis thoracis muscle: bilaterally extends cervical and thoracic vertebrae, unilaterally flexes cervical and thoracic vertebrae, unilaterally cervical and thoracic vertebrae to opposite side. Splenius capitis muscle. Origin, inferior half of ligamentum nuchae and splenius processes of C7 to T2. Insertion, superior nuchal line of occipital bone and mastoid process of temporal bone. Actions of the splenius capitis muscle: bilaterally extends head and neck, unilaterally flexes head and neck to same side, unilaterally rotates head and neck to same side. Splenius cervicis muscle. Origin: spinous processes of T3 to T6. Insertion: transverse processes of C1 to C3. Actions of the splenius cervicis muscle: bilaterally extends head and neck, unilaterally flexes head and neck to same side, unilaterally head and neck to same side.
Attachments of external oblique muscle. Origin: proximal attachments. External surfaces of ribs 5 to 12. Insertion: distal attachments. Interior iliac crest and abdominal apneurosis to linea alba. Actions of the abdomen. A. Flexes vertebral column, draws thorax downward. And rotates vertebral column torso. And the last, laterally flexes vertebral column, compresses abdomen. The innervation of external oblique muscle. 8 to 12 intercostal, iliohypogastric and ilioinguinal nerves. Attachments of internal oblique muscle. Origin: proximal attachments. Anterior iliac crest, lateral half of inguinal ligament, and thoracondylar fascia. Insertion: distal attachments. Costal cartilages of ribs 5, 8 to 12. Abdominal apneurosis to linea alba. Actions of the abdomen. A. Flexes vertebral column. B. Rotates vertebral column. C. Lateral flexes vertebral column. Innervation of internal oblique muscle. 8 to 12 intercostal, iliohyogastric and ilioinguinal nerves.
Attachments of rectus abdominis muscle. Origin and insertion. Origin: proximal attachments. A. Pubic crest and symphysis pubis. Insertion: distal attachments. A. Costal cartilages of ribs 5 to 7. Sepoid process of sternum. The actions of the abdomen. A. Flexes vertebral column, torso. B. Compresses abdomen. Innervation of rectus abdominis muscle, 7 to 12 intercostal nerves. Attachments of transversus abdominis muscle. Origin and insertion. Origin: anterior iliac crest, lateral half of inguinal ligament, thoracolumnar fascia, and cartilages of ribs 6 to 12. Insertion: abdominal aponeurosis to linea alba, sepoid process, and pubic symphysis. Actions of the abdomen. It compresses abdomen. Innervation of transversus abdominis muscle. 7 to 12 intercostal, iliohyogastric, and ilioinguinal nerves.
Muscles that act on the shoulder. Levator scapulae. Origin. A. Transverse processes of the C1 to C4. Insertion. A. Medial border of the scapula between spine and superior angle. Actions on the shoulder. A. Elevates medial border of the scapula while downwardly rotating lateral angle. B. Helps trapezius and rhomboid muscles. C. Bends neck laterally. Rhomboid major muscle. Origin. A. Spinous process of T2 to T5 vertebrae. Insertion. A. Medial border of scapula inferior to spine. Actions. A. Retracts the medial border of scapula while it downwardly rotates the lateral angle. B. Elevates the medial border of scapula while it downwardly rotates the lateral angle. Rhomboid minor muscle. Origin. Spinous process of C7 to T1 vertebrae. Insertion. Medial border of scapula superior to spine. Action. A. Retracts the medial border of scapula while it downwardly rotates the lateral angle. B. Elevates the medial border of scapula while it downwardly rotates the lateral angle. Okay na.
Trapezius muscle. Origin. Medial superior nuchal line and external protuberance of occipital bone. Ligamentum nuchae and spinous process of C7T1-2. Insertion. Lateral clavicle, acromion, and spine of scapula. Actions. Upper fibers elevate scapula. Upper fibers upwardly rotate scapula. C. Extend neck. So guys, hanggang F pala yun. Akala namin hanggang sila. Game
D.
D. Middle fibers adduct or retract scapula.
Rock.
Gusto yun.
E. Lower fibers scapula. F. Lower fibers help upper fibers upwardly scapula. Pectoralis minor muscle. Origin. Anterior surface of the sternal ends of ribs 3 to 5. Insertion. Coracoid process of scapula. Actions. Draws scapula forward and downward. It also elevates ribs if origin and insertion are reversed. That's it. Serratus anterior muscle. Origin. Anterior surfaces of the first 8 or 9 ribs. Insertion. Anterior surface of medial border of scapula. Actions. Abducts scapula and upwardly rotates it while abducting the arm. Stabilizes scapula by holding it to chest wall. That's it.
Muscles that act on the hand and wrist. First, the extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle. Its origin is the lateral epicondyle of humerus with the insertion of the base of the third metacarpal or the dorsal surface. The actions of the extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle are the following. First, it extends the hand at the wrist. Second, it radial deviates or abducts the hand at the wrist. The nerve to the extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle and its spinal segment is the radial nerve C6 and C7. The second muscle that acts on the hand and the wrist is the extensor carpi radialis longus, with an origin of the distal lateral supracondylar ridge and the insertion of the base of the second metacarpal or the dorsal surface. Like the first muscle, it has the following actions. It extends the hand at the wrist, and it radial deviates or abducts hand at wrist. The nerve to the extensor carpi radialis longus muscle and its spinal segment is the radial nerve C6 and C7. Third muscle is the extensor digitorum muscle, with an origin of the lateral epicondyle of humerus and an insertion of the distal phalanges via dorsal mechanism of digits 2 to 5 or the extensor expansion. The actions of the extensor digitorum muscle on the wrist is it extends the wrist and it extends the fingers or the middle phalanx of digits 2 to 5. It has a nerve to the extensor digitorum muscle, and its spinal segment is a deep branch of radial nerve C6 and C8. Another muscle that acts on the hand and the wrist is the flexor carpi radialis, with an origin of the medial epicondyle of humerus and the insertion of bases of second and third metacarpals. The actions of flexor carpi radialis muscle are the following. It flexes the hand at the wrist, and it radial deviates or abducts the hand at the wrist. The nerve to the flexor carpi radialis muscle and its spinal segment is a median nerve C6 and C7.
Flexor carpi ulnaris muscle with the origin of medial epicondyle of humerus with the insertion of pisiform hook of hamate and base of fifth metacarpal. With the following action, A is the flexes at the wrist, B ulnar deviates the hands at the wrist with the nerve of ulnar nerve C8 and T1. Flexor digitorum superficialis with the origin from humero-ulnar head, medial epicondyle of humerus and coralloid process of ulnar. B. Radial head, upper arterial surface of radius with the insertion of medial phalanges of digits 2 to 5 with the action of A. Middle phalanges of digits 2 to 5. B. Is flexus proximal phalanges, wrist, hand and wrist, and forearms and elbow. The nerve of flexor digitorum superficial is medial curve C7, C8, and T1. Palmaris longus muscle. Origin: medial epicondyle of the humerus with the insertion of flexor retina column and palmar aponeurosis with the action of flexes the hand at the wrist. B. Tenses palmar aponeurosis. The nerve of the palmaris longus muscle is the medial curve C7 and C8.
Gastrocnemius muscle. Origin, medial head, medial condyle of femur and area just above condyle. Lateral head, lateral condyle of femur and area just above condyle. Insertion, posterior calcaneus via calcaneal tendon. Actions of gastrocnemius muscle: plantar flexus foot, flexes the leg at knee, nerve to muscle in spinal segment, tibial nerve S1, S2.
Popliteus muscle. Origin and insertion. Lateral surface of lateral condyle of the femur. Proximal posterior surface of tibia just above the soleal line. Actions on the popliteus muscle on the leg. Flexes leg at the knee. Medially rotates leg at knee. Nerve to muscle and its spinal segment. Tibial nerve. L4, L5, and S1.
Membranosus. Origin, ischial tuberosity of oscosa. Insertion, posterior medial condyle of tibia. Post insertion. Sabihin ko pa ba pati mga part insertion? Gluteus medius, tensor fasciae latae, gluteus maximus, gracilis, iliotibial tract, semimembranosus, semitendinosus, biceps femoris, short head, biceps femoris, long head, and gastrocnemius. Semitendinosus. Its origin is at the ischial tuberosity of oscosa, and its insertion is at the proximal tibia, medial to tibia tuberosity. It is a part of pes anserinosus. And its nerve to muscle and its spinal movement is at the tibial nerve portion of the sciatic nerve.
Attachments of biceps femoris muscle long head. Origin: ischial tuberosity of os fossa. Insertion: head of fibula and lateral condyle of tibia. The actions of bicep femoris muscle long head on the leg. Flexes leg at knee. Laterally rotates leg at knee when knee is flexed. It also extends thigh and hip. Thigh at hip.
Attachments of biceps femoris. Short head. Origin. Proximal attachments. Distal linea aspera and lateral supracondylar ridge of femur. Insertion. Distal attachment. Head of fibula and lateral condyle of tibia. Actions of brachialis muscle of the forearm. Flexes. The leg at the knee laterally rotates leg when knee is flexed. Nerve to muscle and its spinal segment. Vastus medialis muscle. Explained beautifully in an illustrated and interactive way. Vastus lateris muscle. Explained beautifully in ganun din lahat. It's on so.
Rectus femoris muscle. Origin. Anterior superior iliac spine and the region just below. Insertion. Proximal tibia, medial to tibia, tuberosity. Actions. Flexes leg at knee. Nerve to muscle and its spinal segment. Femoral nerve.
Vastus intermedius muscle. Origin. Anterior and lateral surfaces of shaft of femur. Insertion. Quadriceps tendon to base of patella and onto tibial tuberosity via the patellar ligament. Action. Extends leg at knee, part of quadriceps group. Nerve to muscle and its spinal segment.
Vastus laterum muscle. Origin, crater to chera. It also attached to the lateral lip of linea aspera of femur. Insertion, quadriceps tendon to the base of patella and onto tibial tuberosity via the patellar ligament, with the action of leg at knee and with the nerve of femoral nerve L1 to L4.
And last but not the least, the muscles that act on the leg is the vastus medialis muscle. Its origin is the intertrochanteric line, and it also attaches to the medial lip of linea aspera of femur. Insertion is a quadriceps tendon to base of patella and into tibial tuberosity via the patellar ligament. The actions on the leg of the tibia and fibula is it extends leg at knee, which is part of the quadriceps group. The nerve to muscle in its spinal segment is a femoral nerve, which is from L2 to L4.